It's time for this weekend's Capitol Report with Pat McGuigan. Today, Pat, we're talking about the fact that the director of Oklahoma Department of Corrections resigned this week. Talk about what you found out about his reasons for leaving.
Well, I think, on the one hand, the stated reason he gave is certainly one that could be trusted. He wants to start a new chapter in his life. He's going to write a couple of books, including a sequel to Tales of the Caseload, which was his previous book, and he's going to write a book on leadership. I think he had grown frustrated. Justin Jones we're talking about. I think he had grown frustrated and concerned. This is my intuitive reading, and I think it'll be borne out in the long run by the facts. He was frustrated over the Fallin administration's unwillingness to accept or buy into the idea of alternatives to incarceration for nonviolent crimes. Now, the Fallin administration's claims they are for that. We'll see. Time will tell. He has said that that concept needs a new champion within the Oklahoma state government, and it does, because with Speaker Steele's departure to the Education and Employment Ministry, where he remains an effective private sector advocate for taking a different course in Oklahoma prisons policy. There is a gap that needs to be filled in state government. In the end, I think that part of this was budget. He's the head of an agency, and heads of agencies tend to want more money for their people. He wanted pay hikes for his guards who are stressed and kind of overworked. So, it's possible to have some sympathy for his reasons. At the end of the day, I think there was a clash that proved irreconcilable over the governor's budget. People felt like he had cashiered away $22 million in reserve funds. It looked to me like the real dispute was more about $6 million or so. Be that as it may, there's nothing surprising about reserve funds in state government. In fact, I've sometimes been critical of that because it's so widespread in the agencies. So I don't think that's a strike against him. The number one argument I guess I would make for Justin Jones' tenure is that even though he was inside the belly of the beast, as it were, the corrections system, he was an advocate of reform, of developing these not only alternatives to incarceration, but better methods for supervising people when they get out. Okay,
and talk about how his resignation will impact reform.
I think it's real important that some good come from this, and I hope it will. This is an area where I'm not objective. I have a point of view. I try to be fair. And my point of view is that Oklahoma cannot sustain in the long run its reliance on massive levels of incarceration at this level. We fall somewhere in the top 5 consistently, and we're number 1 for the level of incarceration of women. We can do better. Now that the governor is in the process of getting her way, which was to replace Justin Jones, I hope that she'll work with the agency governing board to find a director who has a proven record of being effective in dealing with these policies with alternatives to incarceration, and that we'll apply the Oklahoma standard that we're all so proud of: compassion, effectiveness, and speed. That we'll apply that now to corrections policy, because we can't stay where we are.
Okay, and last week, we're kind of changing gears now, the Supreme Court voted unanimously in favor of Oklahoma in the water fight with Texas. Talk about what that means for Oklahoma's water policy now.
Well, I think the one way it was put, Senator Brian Crain, who's a key player in the legislature, I thought he came up with the best line of the week, which was, well, bottom line, this means that the decisions about Oklahoma water policy are going to be made north of the Red River. They're not going to be made by Tarrant County or by folks in Texas. My assistant Joan Minton, when she posted the story online, she got real excited because she said this means Oklahoma beat Texas 9-0 because it was a unanimous case. This is the scene setter, if you will, setting the stage for what will come next, which is the dispute between the state and the tribes. But it's going to be settled in Oklahoma, bottom line.
All right. Thanks for that information. That wraps up our weekend Capitol Report. Have a great weekend, folks.